Well, for more analysis on Russia's presidential race, we are now joined by author and CEO of Country Risk Solutions, Daniel Wagner. Mr. Wagner, thank you for joining us. Now, coming out of what has been hailed as a very transparent and democratic process, is Russia the democracy the U.S. wanted to see when the Soviet Union collapsed? After all, these are the most transparent elections with visible opposition and a mass civil society insurrection.
Well, I think in fairness, the only, quote, democracy that a lot of people in the United States would be happy with is a democracy that is exactly like that of the United States, which I think is totally unrealistic. I think a one-size-fits-all approach to democracy is unrealistic in most parts of the world, and I think Russia is no different in any respect.
Well, it is widely agreed that the most conservative politicians will not likely be dealing with Putin. Will relations with Russia play a big role in the U.S. presidential race?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if the most popular, most powerful politicians in the United States don't end up dealing with Mr. Putin. That seems wholly unrealistic. Let's not forget it's political season here. There's a lot of pandering to the audience, and there's a lot of things that will be said strictly for the consumption of the voter. I think when push comes to shove, everybody recognizes Mr. Putin is here to stay. He's been elected through a legitimate process. He's not going anywhere. And I think on that basis, everything will settle down after the election, and everyone will get down to business.
And getting down to that business, it's going to be interesting because we know that Medvedev had really good relations with President Obama. Will Putin and Obama have the same vibe as Medvedev had with the American president?
I think what you're probably going to find is that whether it's President Obama or Mr. Romney who takes the helm after this year, they're going to realize that it's in America's interest to be sensible, to be reasonable, to do the right thing, to partner with Mr. Putin and with Russia. We gain nothing, Russia gains nothing by having an adversarial relationship, and I think that's also true with most countries. Russia is particularly important, however, in the evolving landscape in the Middle East and elsewhere in the world, and I think people over here know that.
And speaking of people over there, you are in Washington, D.C. right now. What has been the reaction to Putin's victory in the media there?
Well, the media here seems to be pretty consistent with what I've seen in, for instance, the European papers, which is that there is an allegation that somehow the election was unfair, or that it was stolen, and that it was a foregone conclusion. From my perspective, two-thirds of the Russian people would not have voted for this person if they didn't see some form of legitimacy and ascribe some sort of value to him. I think a lot of people over here are not necessarily so informed about what's fact and what's fiction vis-a-vis Russia and the Russian elections, and I think that the media bears part of the blame in that. There seems to be an anti-Putin slant, an anything but Putin approach to much of what the media has been reporting, not only prior to the election, but well before it.
All right. I appreciate your thoughts there. That was author Daniel Wagner. Thanks for joining us in what is certainly interesting times here in Russia and with relations in the States.